DreamHack Open is brought to you by Intel, Corsair, MSI, and Monster Energy.
On our first day, the Force awakens some Jedi holograms, and we even gathered a crowd to cheer on our teams.
The kill and scared. Look at Dupree. He's that boiler. He's got to find.
The day started out with a textbook David versus Goliath matchup, as Astralis took on Godsent for a one-sided match. They upped the pace on Nuke and managed to resist the Astralis two-side mind games, but were not able to play ball with their own attacks.
Hold on, what? And that's going to be the case. Opening kill was found, but S-Attack runs forward. That was a very risky play, and now it's brought back into a 3v3. Early trades all over the place, but Mad was caught on the bomb stack. Good shots from Dupree, who's on for the ace right now.
Elsewhere in the upper bracket, Fnatic did Fnatic things on Inferno.
The Electro has the good spot in both players on the B defense ball. The rotation coming in from JW, the Molotov needs to be good, and Crims needs to be better, and that's exactly what he will do. Three kills for Crims. Electro peaks, and eventually there's enough damage done to easy on the...
Despite North's best efforts, and show they've regained a dangerous sense of confidence on Overpass, setting them up for an upper bracket semi-final against Astralis.
We'll take him away, get the opening kill, but Brolin will double up a third kill on the P250, and JW securing the fourth for Fnatic. It's just taken B.
In the closest series of the day, Big showed some coordinated retakes to regain control of G2's Inferno B-site assaults, but lost important anti-eco rounds in both halves, with Amanek going jambon.
Frag grenade could blow Amanek into tomorrow. Shebang! Check your corner on Banana, because you've got a pressure situation for Amanek, and he's got kills looking for the third.
Over on Dust 2, Big had more than enough answers to take things on to an Overpass decider, despite Kenny S's flashiest of efforts.
Nice play. Oh, whoa, look at this. The Conga line up middle. Everybody's dead in 14 seconds.
With Keto and Xantares a dominant B-side duo. Keeping things dynamic with their defense on Overpass, the German synergy saw off G2 into the lower bracket.
Two. Oh my god. Oh my god. You get out a connector when there's already counter-terrorists on Fountain. You can't. The answer is you can't. You have to go back to the B side, which is exactly what G2 will try to do, but you know who else is really good other than Kenny S? Xantares. Man's got almost as many frags. That is like right before he eats. Yeah, easy for Searson. He's going to extend into it, gets the second kill, then taps and hits them just a moment after. Sure, Searson, oh, he peeled back for a moment. That is impeccable.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to DreamHack Open Fall. It's a new dawn here at the playoffs, as of course we'll be kicking off our last upper bracket quarterfinal before delving into those lower brackets to find out who will continue their run. Of course, joining me for the duration of the day, the wonderful Maniac and Blair. Maniac, pleasure to have you back up on here. Are you excited for today's games?
I am very, very, very excited. We have one more page in the book that is Vitality versus NiP. These games always deliver. Yesterday's counters have been great. Today's going to be the same.
speaking of yesterday, of course, Blair, you were the only one who believed in the big dream. So I feel like you're probably still smug about that result from yesterday.
Absolutely. Slept so well just knowing that I'm better than everyone else, predicting big, obviously. But jokes aside, yeah, that was a great game. But yeah, big up the better team. Always fun to watch G2 play, but unfortunately, yesterday was not the day where they would get the win.
Yeah, of course. And it was an incredible day of Counter-Strike. And of course, today is going to be even more incredible. And a big shout out to our sponsors, of course, for joining us on this amazing journey. Intel, MSI, Corsair, DTS, and of course, Monster Energy. Fantastic to have you on board here for DreamHack Open Fall. And I think we were speaking a bit about yesterday's action. Of course, that isn't the only success Big have seen. This year really has been their year. So let's relive the legacy of Big in 2020.
It has definitely been a unique year, one where everyone has been forced to adapt to the new rules and conditions of the game. And one of the most successful teams to make the transformation to the online era is definitely Big.
Mind of Sicko. Taps it with
Winning a tournament, it always is, like, especially the first tournament, is always a really good sign that to show what we are capable of, even with like less practice time.
Coming into 2020, Big made some major changes to their roster, right before the year's first tournament, DreamHack Open Leipzig. Searson and Keto came into the lineup from regional rival Sprout, while former player Godby took on the role as the head of the organisation's CSGO division. Together with coach Toby and experienced captain Tabson, the roster was ready to attack the higher ranks.
To be honest, we didn't expect so much. Like, we knew that we were crazy hyped about seeing all the German crowds playing in front of the German tournament with the new roster now.
Big entered the tournament in Leipzig as the lowest ranked team.
victory, so they do force the issue. Xanteras charging up into the tunnel.
I really do remember the audience. It was a nice experience. It was like everyone was like just hyping each other. It was like gloating, and it was like really fun to see.
By winning Leipzig, they qualified directly for DreamHack Masters Spring.
And he gets dropped immediately. Tizian shutting down Nexter, looking to follow up, and it's all onto Kenny. He takes down the first, but that is it. Big, they take the series.
The winning streak continued at CS Summit, and directly after the player break, they snatched first place at DreamHack Open Summer EU.
Away from what will be the 3 times DreamHack champion this year, and it is going to be
In just 6 months, Big had climbed the ranking to #1 in the world. DreamHack Open Leipzig 2020 started the beginning of an era.
And all these tournaments at DreamHack, we managed to either play really good or win it. I really like the tournament, and I have a really good feeling about this one as well.
An incredible run from Big this year. Maniac, we were just talking about it all the way back in Leipzig. We were seeing the crowd really rooting for them there. It's incredible to see what Big have done this year.
It is, and I have a number that's going to blow your mind. Big started the year 2020 as rank 46 in HLTV. 7 months later, they were at the top of the list. They had the throne. 7 months, 46 ranks up. They are the most improved teams of 2020. And when we are going back to LAN, because believe you me, that's going to happen. I believe firmly that's going to happen. They will have a lot of answers to prove.
It will one day, Maniac. And of course, we've got to think about this as well, that they are currently, technically the defending DreamHack Open champions. They won DreamHack Open Summer, Blair. So things are looking up for the Big camp.
Yeah, absolutely. And even going back to Leipzig, it was one of the last LANs we've seen, right? It was the last DreamHack Open LAN as well. They were doing very good. And while some teams struggled to transition from LAN to online, Big didn't skip a beat. The only question for me for this lineup is they had a great summer, they had a great run the entire year. The past few events have been a little bit tepid, so to speak, for this lineup, right? They had a kind of a rough showing in ESL 1 Cologne. I think 5th to 6th placings in some of the other events, which they played very recently. So for them coming into this event, they'll be looking for #1 once more.
They will indeed. And of course, moving on to today's matchups, of course, we're going to see Vitality versus NIP very, very shortly. And we had the chance to catch up with Rez to break down some of his most iconic moments. Let's check it out.
Push the smoke, it's not enough, 2 2 versus 1, he's left Rez for dead. He had to wait for his teammate to come through, but he took the challenge. Now Rez with the AWP has to find the third shot. Nails it.
So I remember this round, I got a double in Banana. Got a good round with the op here. And I had information on both of them, and I knew Nico was very low. So I got this nice kill on Rain first. So I pick up my P250, because I know he has 1 HP. Simple as that.
Tough opposition in front of him to go 1 versus 3. Smokes covering the inside of the site. If Machanti can fade inside, he can still isolate this down. He's fast enough to find Taco. His Bolt is still working in from Chuck. That smoke has favored him massively. He thinks he's gotten away with it. He thinks he's covered. He is indeed. Bolt is nowhere near. Bolt doesn't read it. And LIP get it. Red barely wins the round.
Oh, this is one of my first highlights probably with NIP. And a good old times when I used the P2000. It was I love that gun back then. It was really close actually. After I got Taco, I just went for a defuse, and it was like 1.5 seconds before Bolt, but I got him in there. It's really close. As well, a really lucky round for me.
Rez can save the day. He currently has 46 kills to his name. Look at the night of blood. He's done enough. 8 seconds. That should be it. He needs to get the hell out of there. 3 seconds, no chance to blood. It's this has to kill him. He doesn't check it.
This was a good match here. I was really surprised. I thought they knew where I was, because I threw a molly from water here, but they didn't know, so I was really surprised when he did the plant there. Very unlucky for him, Exist, that he didn't check the corner. He probably could have killed me there if he checked the corner, but he was really stressed because of the time, so lucky for me.
Fantastic to get to hear from Rez to open up our day here at DreamHack Open Fall. We were just saying, Maniac, you know, he's technically one of the old guards of NIP. He's been around since 2017, been playing with players like Get Right and Forest, and it's been interesting to see his sort of transition and growth as a player.
Yeah, his role and his status really changed over the course of his duration in NIP. First of all, he was the young gun, surrounded by experience. Dennis, Get Right, Forest. He was just a beast, basically Matt Fragger going everywhere. And now he's more like the veteran. He has younglings around him. He needs to be the mentor. So in a very short span, he changed status completely.
Yeah, and sort of speaking of that as well, obviously we're going to be seeing him coming up in our first matchup today here, Blair. Is he somebody that you're particularly going to have your eye on, considering, you know, he's around by those younger players, maybe has a little bit of skill and experience he can be passing off onto some of those young guns?
Yeah, absolutely right. He, alongside Twist as well, I think these are the 2 players who are kind of like the pillars of the team. But for me, it has to be Nock. The guy has looked spectacular. He was a little unwell, I do believe, like a month ago. He didn't play a couple of games during the Pro League as well. We had Thread standing in, and him coming back in full force, looking so good. He's the player for me to keep an eye on for this lineup.
Well, before we get into that, we've of course got to check in with our players for our topic of the day. Today, it is Lucky Charms, so I'm interested to see what some of the players will be bringing with them to bring them luck in the games.
I used to have different like toy animals that I used to bring, and I feel like it gave me luck, but that's like 5 years ago, and I've been doing better without bringing them, so I don't have anything right now other than bringing some good mental fortitude.
I used to be really like that before at the beginning of my career, but not anymore. I remember that if I was going to a tournament with a jacket, I was playing with this jacket. If I didn't play good in this tournament, I would never play with that jacket again, if it makes sense.
I always like to have like hand warmer with me, because I like to have like warm hands before the game. So I think it's like my lucky charm.
No lucky charms, just relying on practices.
I like that I'm hearing that players are bringing hand warmers. I'm somebody who's always cold, so that for me would definitely be my lucky charm. But I'm interested to hear from you, Blair. Do you have a particular lucky charm, you know, you bring up on the desk, or when you're playing games you have close to you?
I don't really have a lucky charm, but when I'm playing some pugs and whatnot, I don't play seriously anymore. I do have my little Counter-Strike HE fragmentation grenade, and every time I screw up a clutch, I just like squeeze them and toss them across the room. Sorry.
So a stress toy, maybe. That's what it
Kinda.
is. I do have my fidget spinner keycap, which I've put on my escape key. So if I ever get tilted and I want to rage quit a game, no, I can't. I just spin my fidget spinner. And that's it. I'm sorted. What about you, Maniac? Anything you used to bring when you were competing?
I like the fidget move. I think maybe I'll have to use that. No, I didn't really have as a player. I was just thinking as an analyst now, whenever I put my watch on, I feel like that's when I activate like the professional mode. Like it's like that's the last step of my preparation. Put my face on, put the wax in my hair, put the watch on, and then I'm ready. I'm in the zone. So it's unconscious, but I think that's what I do.
I like that. You know what? Now we're in the professional zone. I think all there is left to do is to be kicking off our first best of 3 series of the day, as both of these teams hope to continue their run of the gauntlet here at DreamHack Open Fall. It's been a war of attrition in 2020 and another chance for these two teams to be clashing heads. It's Vitality versus NIP after this.